Hey everybody, Mike here. So today I want to take a couple seconds to go over this heat cable made by Frost King. Depending on what time of the year you're watching this, for me right now, we're in the middle of January. It's cold. We're seeing negative temperatures. Wind chill is even lower than that. So usually this time of year, especially with me living on a farm, trying to keep water troughs open and animals going with water, I usually have to get a couple of these out to kind of help me get through those really cold times. Now, most of your modern houses, you won't have these type of problems. The building codes that are in place today, you really don't have too many problems with frozen water pipes. Depending on where you live geographically in the nation, a lot of those folks that live in older homes or have pipes that are exposed to the elements, or even like we saw down south a few years ago, where they got extreme cold temperatures in areas that they aren't used to seeing that low of a temperature. These heat cables are nice to keep around. Now, you can leave these installed on your pipes permanently. I don't. And the reason I don't, and this is just pro tip for me dealing with these things for years now, is if you leave them down in your crawl space or your basement for extended periods of time and they're not wrapped properly and you end up having mice issues, mice tend to chew on these cables from time to time. And if you end up getting a short in this cable, it could create either just a non-functioning cable. So for me personally, I like taking these off every year. It only takes me 15-20 minutes to put them on the pipe, depending on where I'm trying to get it to. But you can kind of make that decision on your own, what's best for you. On this Frost King brand heat cable, they've got this little thermostat right here built into the cable. And what's nice about that is you kind of just tape this on both sides of the cable like this to your pipe. I'll tell you what, I'll show you what that looks like real quick. What's nice about when you're running and installing these for the pipe is when you pick up this unit, it's got this little booklet here. As much as I don't like grabbing a user manual from time to time, I'm kind of lazy when it comes to that aspect. I can usually just figure it out. There's quite a bit of good information in here if you've never installed one of these. If nothing else, it's just a good reminder as to what to do. But it'll run through little diagrams as to kind of how to properly do this. The biggest thing when you're setting one of these up on a pipe like this, you want this to run straight and flat on the pipe. And I'll tell you what I end up doing a lot of times too. Now, I can't really tell you if it makes a big difference or not, but to me, common sense says to put it on the bottom of the pipe just because gravity and the wall of the water is going to be down here. That way, if there's any space up on top of the pipe inside where the water's being carried, I just feel like it's going to get a better heat transfer if it's on the bottom, because not only that, but heat rises as well. So that's just my brain and my thought process on this. You want to run this, like I said, on the bottom side of the pipe and try to keep that cable flat all the way across the run. The instructions say absolutely not to spiral this like candy cane around here like this. I've seen contradicting information on the internet as to whether that's okay or not. Just use your best judgment on that. I'm going to follow the directions the way the manufacturer said. Now, an absolute no-no, no matter what, is to never run your cable over itself and overlap. You're going to create a hot spot on that cable. Those cables, if the insulation ever breaks down right there, you're going to short them cables out. Like I said, what I'll do here, just to kind of show you, get yourself a good roll of electrical tape, something that can withstand a little bit of temperature, because this heat cable, while it doesn't get scorching hot, it will get up over 100 degrees while it's running. You need to stay about 6 inches from the end of your pipe per the instructions. You just wrap yourself a section of tape around your pipe like this. It's obviously a lot easier to do when the pipe's not moving. So I'll run this down like so on each end. That's going to hold your thermostat securely on your pipe to give you an accurate temperature reading. That way it kicks on and off like it's supposed to. Now, another nice thing about this as well is when you plug this in here like so, you've got a little orange illumination on the end of your cable like you see a lot of extension cords have these days. That's just a nice thing to know as well. You can take a visual look at this and see if your cable's operating and functioning properly just by looking at that. Now, that's not to say that it's going to be getting heat all the way down to the end of the cable. So it is a good idea, especially if you're going to leave these cables up permanently, to go through and visually inspect your cable and your insulation to make sure you didn't get any chews or damage on that throughout the year. But another reason why I take mine down every year, I kind of run my hand through this every year, make sure that all my cable is in good shape and I don't have any issues where I should probably just throw this cable away and get another one. But as you get that thermostat placed on there like so, then you just go down your pipe and you keep taping. And I like to go about every foot or so. Really all you're trying to do though is you don't want a hump like that, because that's not going to heat the pipe like it's supposed to. So you're wanting to keep this tight. So if you need to put more tape, it's not always a bad thing. Keep that straight to the pipe, and that way there's no air gap there between the two. Now, another good idea, once you get this all installed and ready to go, is to take some fiberglass wrap. You can wrap this cable up and then come back and wrap it with some plastic that's rated for this job to kind of help keep that heat into the pipe. It's just going to give you that much more heat transfer and keep your pipe that much warmer through those cold months. Because these heat capes are actually rated to keep water flowing down to a negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit. We don't get that anywhere near that cold here. And as long as I've had this set up properly in my application, I haven't had a problem with a frozen pipe unless it's been my heat cable failed on me, I've got an outlet that's not working correctly, or I didn't properly insulate the pipe and do the job correctly. And I've only had that happen just a couple times in 10 years. They come in lengths up to 30 feet and as short as 3 feet. So the first thing you really need to do is measure your pipe, and you want to get the appropriate size cable. Now, if you have any overlap at all, what you can do, so if you've got a 15-foot pipe and let's just say an 18-foot cable, you can double back the end, not the thermostat end. You can double back this end up to 3 feet like so per the instructions. If you you go any more than that, they say there's a risk of this overheating the cable. So keep that in mind. And you also, when it comes to thermostat, even if your outlet's on one side, but the coldest section of the pipe's on the far end, you're gonna wanna take your thermostat to the coldest end of the pipe, wherever that might be. And then if you have to, just run an extension cord back. Just make sure you've got a good quality extension cord that either matches the gauge of this cable or is thicker, especially if you're running a long distance, because if you end up getting a voltage drop in your cable, if you have too long of an extension cord or not thick enough, that can cause voltage drops in your heat tape and your heat cable, and can also cause overheating situations as well. So really, honestly, like I said, just use common sense. Make this user manual your friend when you're putting this in, and make sure you get the right appropriate size cable for your application, and you'll be in good shape. I've kind of swore by these over the last decade. Since I've been out in my farmhouse for as long as I have and running my farm, I've come to really love these things. They really are pretty reliable. I've only had one fail on me in 10 years. I think that might have been due to an animal, to be honest. I had a section in my cable get damaged and it shorted itself out and I didn't catch it in time. But other than that, I hope that was somewhat helpful for you guys. There's a lot of information here in a couple minutes. There's a lot more to know about them, but honestly, it's a pretty easy install. This is going to be a lot safer situation to put yourself in than putting like a heat lamp in a crawl space. I appreciate you guys watching. You guys stay warm out there. I'll catch you on the next one.